Please subscribe and like the video. Also, make sure to... Suddenly you awake and find yourself here, or God forbid here. What thoughts run through your mind? Where am I? How did I get here? Is there a way out? Or maybe you're one of the few who find a peace of mind when being absolutely alone in an interesting place. And perhaps instead of being terrified of the unknown, you embrace it and find the area you're in very intriguing and interesting. Well, in this video, I wanted to show the comfort and solace in liminal spaces, how these places have different effects on people, why some find them horrifying and others find them peaceful to look at or even imagine themselves being in them. Okay, let's begin. What does the term liminal space even mean? Formal definition states the following: the uncertain transition between where you've been and where you're going, physically, emotionally, or metaphorically. End quote. Liminal spaces are places that we all feel like we've been there at some point. We all get a sense of nostalgia when we look at a picture of an empty bowling alley or a picture of inside of a bouncy house. At some point, most of us have been in these situations. Seeing these images brings up those feelings back, but because of how much time has passed, it shines a new light on those memories. People get a feeling of uneasiness because yes, being alone in a giant place can be overwhelming and scary, but when you really think about it, it's unrealistic unless you go and find them specifically. For example, a mall would never let someone stay there after hours unless you intentionally hide and avoid when security rolls around. But being suddenly alone in a mall that is operational would never happen. Though yes, they make for some great pictures. Like I mentioned, the sense of familiarity. Being younger, looking at a giant mall close to closing hours, less and less people around, it felt overwhelming, the thought racing through our minds. Imagine being here alone all night, nobody around, I could do anything I want. Quick side note, which really kinda has something to do with the video, I really enjoyed the movie Mall Cop when I was younger because of the fact that most of the movie takes place when the mall is closed and nobody's around. For some reason, I just really enjoyed that, a giant place that's empty. I don't know, just kinda liked it. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. Liminal spaces and dreamcore go hand in hand. One is a representation of the other. Dreamcore, for those of you who may not know, is an aesthetic that uses common places that we've all seen or been in dreams or even nightmares. There are a lot of images that I can actually relate to myself when it comes to dreamcore, one of them being this image of an empty neighborhood. Here's a quick little story time. I had a nightmare about a year ago where I woke up in my room in the middle of the night and was being chased by something. I knew I had to leave my house, so I went to this random hole in the ground, and when I came back up, I was in my own neighborhood, but it was empty and quiet. And nobody there. Nobody in homes, nobody in cars, no one at all. So seeing this image does bring back those eerie feelings that I had. Another experience I have relating to dreamcore is I had another dream where I was alone in a school. I was trying to find something and I was going through every room, but this time it was in the middle of the night. The windows were dark and pitch black outside, but the lights are still on. These images in the background kind of represent that, but for some reason, despite the silence and the loneliness of the school, I was somehow not scared of my surroundings. I guess because I knew I was alone and I wasn't being chased by anything or someone. I really do like dreamcore because of its aesthetic. It's both similar and different to liminal spaces. Dreamcore sort of has this haze to it, like a dream, while liminal spaces don't because it's real life. Let me know down below, what's your experience with dreamcore, and which one do you prefer? Another reason why people don't find liminal spaces terrifying is because of the thought of escaping and imagining how all the responsibilities and stresses of life would just disappear if you were to end up in a place like this. People just also really like being left alone to do their own thing. That's why self-checkout is such a huge W. No one there to talk to you or bother you. And private one-room bathrooms are so good. And private planes literally add the word private to anything, and people will choose that over anything, anytime. Shopping late and taking nighttime walks is a getaway for most people. A time when they can kind of recollect their thoughts in their mind. Plus, shopping late at night is kind of like an IRL liminal space experience. The feeling of being home alone is also very comfortable as well. Something that is very popular with liminal spaces is the backrooms, perhaps the king of this aesthetic. But what makes the backrooms scary? The entities and the monsters that lurk the labyrinth of a maze. Well, not really, because monsters aren't real. And I also mean the backrooms monsters aren't like the scariest things I've ever seen. They're no Ito Junji creations. So when I read comments about people who say that monster liminal space edits ruin the creepiness of it, I can see where they're coming from. You know, I feel like the monsters are kind of goofy looking most of the time, and like I said, it doesn't scare me because I know they don't exist. Another big role that plays into this aesthetic is the portrayal of it in movies. Specifically, I want to look at Pixar movies. First, Monsters Inc., which was released back on November 2nd, 2001. This movie features a lot of shots that fall under what counts as a liminal space. For example, this shot in the movie, with all the doors, it seems like it's endless, and yet it's not scary at all, but actually kind of cool and interesting to look at because of how complicated it looks. The doors all lined up on a conveyor belt, really just a nice shot. Or even this one, the outside of Monsters Incorporated. The big building looming over the cars and other buildings, even the color of the shot, the blue sky, the smoke, the sun hitting the buildings. We've all seen this at some point in our lives. Moving to the inside of the building, same thing. The sun coming through the windows and all the empty workstations, and just the vastness of it all is really nice to look at. Finally, perhaps the best shot of the whole movie and my personal favorite is this one. Every time I'd watch this movie, this shot always brought me comfort and peace. Even now when making this video, looking at this image is so peaceful. First, where are we? We're in Japan. Inside a home and outside a beautiful view of Mount Fuji. Everything about this scene is perfect. The floor, the lighting, the sky outside, the windows. It's truly a 10 out of 10. Plus, I'm glad I'm not the only one who felt this way during the scene. Moving on to another Pixar movie, it's The Incredibles. Inside of Bob's office, the cubicle office hallways, the size of it, the color all play a very perfect role in this atmosphere. Even this shot, the hill that leads up to Edna's mansion, it has both aspects of liminal space and I'd say some dreamcore too. Once again, the familiarity of it, the green grass, the sky and the clouds, even the driveway, all perfect in this shot. The last Pixar film that I want to mention is one of the first Pixar shorts, Red's Dream, which has some shots that scream liminal space. The first shot is this one, outside of Eben's bike shop. The aesthetic of it is so pleasant. It takes place at night after the shop is closed, the rain pouring down and the dimly lit sign, oh man. The short continues and we get a shot of the inside, all the bikes lined up ready to be bought, all next to each other. And you can just feel the quietness in this. Once again, not creepy, but comfortable and cozy. If you haven't seen this short, please go watch it. It's one of Pixar's best. When you really look at it, liminal spaces are just spaces that are empty. An empty pool, a vacant parking lot, or even an empty office. It's not scary at all. It's really just an empty building. It's easy to go on the liminal space subreddit and just spend a lot of time scrolling through the many images. It's the unknown that gets people's attention. I mean, when's the last time you've seen a place that's been empty? A store, or I'm saying in general. It's something we don't see every day. So when we see images of those places that are normally packed, it throws us off. And when something's off, our inner instincts naturally scream danger. Images like these are considered liminal spaces, but they don't have that danger or terror feeling to them. It brings me peace, and they may also make you feel the same way too. It also seems familiar. It's like I know that there's a soft, cool breeze in these images, even though these places don't exist. The way the clouds are shaped, the color of it all, it's really a treat for the eyes. But what about you? Comment down below. How do these images make you feel? Minecraft is another game that with the correct mods is packed with liminal aesthetic. It's pleasant to look at, and for some reason it makes me feel safe. But then there are also people who may look at these images and feel terrified of the game. So in the end, even if you find liminal spaces scary or peaceful, I hope we can all agree that they're interesting to look at. Let me know down below, what are your thoughts on liminal spaces? Also, I want to thank you for the support. Thank you so much for the likes, the comments, and the subs. Please make sure to subscribe because we are now in October, the spookiest of all months. So all month long, I'll be making creepy videos and horror-themed subjects. So stick around for that. Anyway, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.